Hi and welcome to Tabletop Gaming, the home of cool things like this. This is a monthly magazine that comes out and talks about all things tabletop. It is available in print and digital, and sometimes there are extra freebies too. Now, what I wanted to talk about today is this. This is Familiar Tales. Now I thought we'd open it up, have a look through, see what it's like, because this landed on my desk and I read the back of it and I thought it sounded wonderful. So I thought I would share that with you too. So this is what we're working with, quite a large box. It is a game that sort of gives me stuffed fables vibes, which I think is delightful. And it's described as a story crafting game. Now we'll take a look inside at what those components are. But you're looking at a game that's suitable for ages 8 and over, and is going to be for 1 to 4 players. Now it is one that requires an app to play, so bear in mind if you are anti-technology at the table, that's something that will factor in. I like it in story building stuff because I feel like it keeps it going, and it usually adds some form of atmosphere. So I always think of Mansions of Madness. It's got sort of a little bit of music, it's got a little bit of puzzles and challenges and such. Not to say that that's what will be in this, but I like the extras that it provides without being invasive as to what's on the tabletop. You're still playing a tabletop game. Anyway, whilst we are inside, we begin with the rulebook, which is delightfully short and full of quite a lot of pictures, which makes me very happy. The more difficult the rulebook, the more I struggle to get into it a lot of the time. And the first page is literally just, this is what things are, and here's how you do your first time setup. Wonderful. So it seems relatively straightforward. It mentions the app is that you just pop in some numerical codes and it tells you more things. There are skill tests, so you can affect the outcome as well, which is almost to be expected because you don't want to play the same game, the same story and get the same outcome every time, or it's a very short game, or at least without a heavy element of mystery. And then we've got quick reference, so phases of turn, skill card icons, and afflictions, so you could be on fire. We'll worry about that later. Now, this one, I noticed there's a little note on the back that says that some of them, or a limited run of them, have got a market trader pop-up inside. So first of all, we have information on how to create that. That's very cool. I really like that. That's a nice way to sort tiles. But we've also got, you'll see from the types, I'll show you what these look like. We're going to be having quite a few dials to keep track of statuses, health points, I don't know, magic points, these sorts of things, and different characters will have different ones. So there's your 4 for your 4 players. There's our really adorable market stall. These are really nice. Very, very cutesy. Very, very nice, keeping in sort of the I'm creating a story kind of feel. And then we have, oh interesting, a campaign journal. So it looks like we play through 3 eras. We've not got tons of these in all honesty. We've got, I think, maybe 3 or 4 of each one, but it gives us, so we've got notes and keywords to pop down, we've got storycraft numbers, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 and total, so presumably 3 chapters in each of the eras, in each of the campaigns, so 9 sets in total maybe, and the really nice sort of map, so you're presumably making your way through, and I wonder if those numbers there are the ones that will be popping into the app, so like, hey, we've reached blah blah blah. Now, this is part of what I really like about this, or what sort of grabbed me, and I know it sounds rather foolish, but this is the location book, right? So, it is, first of all, spiral bound! It sits flat on the table. Honestly, the amount of difference this makes when you're playing things that you have to be around, that you have to look at, rather than having to keep flattening it, or the light catching it differently because it's sat at a bump or anything like that. And these just give you sort of more things. So, you progress, and as you go through, you have different scenarios laid out for you. Now, the pages are quite thin, which doesn't really make any difference when it's spiral bound because you're not really moving too much. It just means for the sake of showing you, it's a little bit trickier. But that's your location book, and it's just got quite a nice set of things there. So presumably this is something like, the first one I can think of is Agamonia, but I know that's certainly not the first one that ever did it. Where I'm going to go here, and then while I'm here, I'll tap this into the app, and I'll see what my outcome is, what the response is, which I quite like because the versions of it that I've played have been with cards. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go here. This number is 512. So then I shuffle through my cards. 512. Right, okay, this is happening. That's what's going on. having an app to manage that is quite nice because it takes a lot of the, okay, I'll go through this, yeah, no, oh, yeah, got it, found it, faffing. Sometimes that's nice. So depending on the mood I'm in, sometimes I like that because it's very tactile. Sometimes I just want to streamline the whole process. Now, that leaves us with a box that looks like this. So we've got plenty of space in there and then also plenty to look at. So, a mountain of minis. There are tons in there. Let's have a look at a couple of those. We maybe won't do all of them, but we'll grab maybe a handful. Whew, that's a big handful, and see how we go. So, got some sort of creepy Reaper-esque mini there. We've got equally as creepy. There's a slightly more nightmare-inducing than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be quite fluffy. I'm almost glad that it's not. This is like some kind of rock monster thing. So presumably you encounter these as you go. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. There's like a little frog man. He's quite cute. And some knights and a guy with a rather impressive beard. Look at that beard. I mean, they're perfectly reasonable miniatures. They feel very sturdy. They feel quite nice. They don't feel like they're going to break on me anytime soon. Look at this little, like, imp thing. He's cute. They're obviously, so quite often, because we straddle quite a lot, so we do sort of miniature war games, or we do a lot of miniature-based games, and miniatures are set out beautifully and independently in all separate cases and everything, and in here they're just lumped into a bag. I think that sort of says how hefty they are, or how confident they are that they won't break, which is good when you're playing 8 and over, because they can be a little heavy-handed, let's be honest, the little young'uns. Now, more in storage solutions that I like. I wonder if this is sort of as you save as you go, or whether you pop specific cards in, or what we've got. But I do really like being given lots of options to potentially either hide things away so that you can't see them immediately so it doesn't ruin any potential tale, or character-based stuff where you can keep things or put things, and just keep the table looking beautiful, because you have these beautifully designed, beautifully artistic, what's the word? Beautiful artwork within games that makes you want to play them. The nicer the setup is, the easier the setup is, the even better that becomes. So we'll just show you, we've got a little dice here, not your normal dice, a couple of custom bits on there. We've got some character cards, so that cute frog that I really liked is a Gribbet, which is a cursed human, and we've got some info on the front and back about them and their style. That huge rock monster is a bird-bound golem called Chalk, which is really cute, and can communicate only through tweets, but the bird kind, not the social media kind, it would appear. And because the minis that we had in the big pack weren't enough, here are some slightly more delicate ones that are very pinned together. So we've got a cute little dragon there. Oh, they're all dragons. Are they all dragons? Yes, they are. So we have 4 dragons there with different bases on them. So that's interesting. Whether you get one and then you get another, I don't know. What else have we got? We have little standee holders. We have the little dials that you need, the little poppers that you put in to be able to move the dials to have the status conditions that we saw. A couple more of those as well. We've got little red markers. That normally means something to do with health. And then we have 3 packs of cards, and that makes up everything. Let's have a look at some of these cards. So the smaller pack is sort of more your attack stuff, I would say. So we have Vicious Bite, which is a melee weapon, presumably for our Vulpine friend. They've got the little Vulpine on the back there. And are they all set by area? Let's have a look. So, okay, so some of them are specific. So these are like probably your starter ones for your character. And then thereafter, you have multiple that just have this symbol on the back, so they'll just be like things that presumably you can pick up and add to your attack, or you can change over. So we've got a Wormwood Club, which is a melee weapon, so when you attack you can do certain things on there. As always, you get used to the symbols as you go through. We've got a scone of heroes. Scone or scone? Tell me in the comments. Discard this card to pass the test. Cannot be used when attacking or defending and is single use. So that's quite a useful thing to keep hold of until important tests come up. And they're like, we've got a shield circlet, we've got steel claws, we've got a frumpy hat, we've got catfolk slippers, we've got a lot. Then we have these. So they've got each of the symbols on the back of the cards, just to show you that. And then we've got all sorts of different ones. So these all have the same back to them. But for example, this is Call the Revenant. So we've got lots of points on the side for different actions. Whether these are to attack or to defend, I'm not entirely sure. So we've got things like aim and sneaky, but then we've also got rest and reckless. So they seem to cover quite a wide range. And then there's some that are almost completely different partway through. So this is Storycraft. Upon acquiring this card, place it in front of you. When there are no enemies in play, you may resolve this card by crossing out the next available Gribbet story code in the campaign journal. So there's a couple of those. Bond, which does exactly the same but for the Vulpine. The same for the Frog. So interesting. So perhaps more character development-y style cards in that one. And yes, I'm just popping them in one of the boxes because I don't want them to be loose until I work out where they should all go. Now, the loose set brings us a chunk of the same sort of cards with that design on the back. So they're the same as the ones before. And then we've got some different bits. So we've got Discontent. So interesting. I'm not sure. I don't want to show you because I don't want to spoil it, but there's only 3 of those and there's one for each era. And then we also have additional characters, perhaps people you encounter. So we've got A, B and C for most of them. But for example, we have the baby and we have Millie, but Millie grows up as you go through because she just, look, she gets a little bit bigger, a little bit more grown up, a little bit more sassy. It's not too clear what that's for, but it's a story. You'll find out as you craft it. So there you have it. I really like the look of this game. I think it feels like it's got a lot to offer. Obviously, it's going to be very dependent on how good that story actually is. But it's got all the markings of being able to play through something engaging. It's got really beautiful artwork. It's really considered in how it's going to go onto your table, how you're going to play it. And you've got that app to support you as well in adding a sort of couple of extra features, more info, less of the stuff that we don't like, more of the streamlining. So I'm excited to play this one. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you played games similar to this? Have you played this one? And what do you think? Any tips or advice? Much appreciated. And I read and try and respond to all of the comments. So if there's anything you thought about this, I would love to hear from you. Pop it in the comments below. And we can have a chat about games, which is always great. Now, the only thing to leave you on is, of course, to say I hope that you like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate that. We do lots of videos taking a look. First looks, we do reviews, we do features, we do a lot, so be sure to check us out. But again, you can head to our website to find things like that Tabletop gaming magazine. It's very cool. And I will make sure that you have all the details to be able to do that in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.